My name is Brit Barron, and I'm very excited to have a conversation with you today about change and transformation. And what a timely opportunity to have this conversation, because literally 2 weeks ago, everything was different. We have seen massive global change take place in our world in such a short amount of time. This is an unprecedented experience. There are few people on the planet who have lived through anything like this before. And so as we wrestle with what this means for us, what this means for our businesses, what this means for our lives, I think it's also worth noting that we should pause and take some time and understand what change and transformation has to teach us and what we might be able to learn from this experience overall. So when we talk about change and transformation, something that I find fascinating is, as humans, we understand this on a very real level early on, right? We understand that babies crawl and then they walk, and a baby is very different than a toddler, and a toddler is very different than a teenager, and even I'm very different than I was 5 years ago. And we applaud that change, and we root for that change, and we cheer that change on. However, sometimes, somewhere along the way, we get to a place where that change starts to cost us. And when change starts to cost us and we experience loss, instead of people cheering us on as we take our first steps, or as we learn how to drive, or as we hit these milestones, it feels like everything around us just starts screaming, "Don't change." We become comfortable with the way things are, and that makes change and loss and transformation very scary. And sometimes we're even put into a situation like we're experiencing right now, where this is not change that we asked for. We weren't prepping for this change. We weren't ready for this change. This change came out of nowhere and impacted literally everyone. And so as we're standing at the face of change and loss, I'm kind of reminded that change, as our only constant, is a reminder that that's the way things were always supposed to be. That maybe change and transformation are woven into the very fabric of what it means to be human. I have a friend who is very obsessed with evolution. And he's so obsessed with this, and this is what he reads about, this is what he talks about. This is his whole energy, is learning about evolution. And so I engage him in conversation often, and usually he loses me somewhere around Neanderthals and talking about the speed at which the world is like spinning into the universe. And I don't know all of the specifics, but something that I find comforting and challenging is that evolution is simply this. Evolution says that things will change and evolve when new elements are introduced to their environment. So if something was there that didn't exist before, things will evolve and they will adapt. And the things that are able to adapt to the new environment that they are in is what thrives and is what survives. So now we are sitting in a place where we have a new environment that we have never been in. And I can assure you that the businesses and the people and the families and the things that are going to thrive in this season will be those of us who choose to use this time to adapt. What we had before is gone. And it's not advantageous for us to sit and wish that things would go back to the way they were, because even when this is done, things won't go back to the way they were. We have a new environment now. We need to choose to adapt and evolve to that environment. And that is not a new thing. Evolution and adapting to a new environment is not a new thing. This is literally what has existed for the entire history of the universe that we exist in right now. And that should be incredibly comforting to you. It's incredibly comforting to me. So what does that mean practically for the time that we're in? So I think something that happens when change comes, it's unexpected. We're all of a sudden in a new environment. We can begin to dig our heels into the sand. So we feel something shifting, we feel something moving, it's uncomfortable, we don't like it, and so we try to resist it. And resistance will only take away from us becoming what we are meant to become in this season. And so I would offer that instead of digging our heels in the sand, as we feel things shift, how do we go through this time with open hands and see what we might pick up along the way? Because not only will resistance to this change be detrimental to our evolution and the way that we adapt, but it's going to keep us from becoming the things that we were meant to be all along. The businesses, the families, the leaders, whatever it is. So take that resistance away, and maybe for this next little bit that we're having this conversation together, be open to the reality that there might be something new for you here, and that's incredibly hopeful and comforting. That we can open our hands, and as we move into this new environment, see what is there for us.